Welcome dear friends. In this video lecture, let us understand the meaning of education, the types of education, what are the different insights into education according to various scholars. We will be explaining all this in this video. I am sure you will be getting all the basic facts on education. What is education? What is the concept of education? The basic problem that all living creatures face after taking birth is the problem of adaptation to environment mentally, physically, emotionally, socially and professionally. Some creatures have some natural capacities which help them adapt to their environment, and no systematic education is needed for this purpose. But the case of human beings is different. He is the most dependent being of all the living beings known. His family and the society educates him formally as well as informally to make him self-dependent. The intellectual power and wisdom that man has over and above other animals help him to receive education. It is the education that helps him to adapt to the environment. The process of education begins immediately after the child is born. His mother teaches him first how to breastfeed. By using trial and error technique, the child comes to learn how to suck milk from the breast of the mother. As the child's exposure expands, the number of his formal and informal teachers also increases. This process continues till his last breath in some way or the other. Thus, the whole life of a man is centered around his wisdom or intelligence, making him superior to all other living beings in the process. Today, society and social needs have become very complex. There is always a new challenge as soon as we take the second breath. Apart from this, search from good to better in order to make the life more easy and comfortable has also revolutionized the human life as its peak. All these factors have led to the creation of formal education in schools, colleges and universities. In order to make education a systematic and healthy process, the knowledge of philosophical thoughts and social awareness becomes necessary. Society and the nation take the responsibility of imparting education to the people to bring about an adaptable change in them. For this purpose, human and physical resources are arranged. The entire educational material is condensed and divided into subjects that is called a syllabus. Subjects and its contents are selected keeping in view the age, ability, intelligence, needs and specific interest area of learners coupled with the needs of the society and the nation. Then education is imparted by the teacher who knows how to bring about maximum change in learners in lesser amount of time, energy and resources. Lastly, evaluation is done in order to give them the certificate of adaptability like degrees of B.A, B.Sc, B.Ed, etc. What is the meaning of education? The word education has three roots in Latin language. The educatum, that is to train. The meaning is that art of teaching. The second one, educere, to draw out the inner powers, the innate capacities of the man, innate potential of human beings. Third one, educare, to bring up, to develop. Thus, drawing out the innate capacities of the individual to develop his personality to full by training or teaching is education. Education is a continuous process that starts with life and ends with death. It is because innate capacities are not restricted to age. At every moment of life, man has some innate capacities. Innate capacities, when come in contact with the outer environment, develop some beliefs and values in the individual. Thus, education is concerned with the beliefs, values, etc. When man is trained or taught, he acquires certain skills. Thus, education is a skill that a person acquires after practice. Education is the enrichment of human knowledge and experiences by going through the process of thinking, experimentation, and drawing conclusion. Education is a process of developing personality of the individual to enable him to adapt to the changing physical and social environment. Individual is composed of body and soul. So, education is concerned with the physical and spiritual development. In order to understand the concept of education, three meanings of the word education are given by scholars. What is the general meaning of education? The instructions or knowledge given in schools is known as education by the ordinary people. In this process, teachers impart knowledge to students with the specific aims. Here, the teacher dominates the scene and the learners are only passive listeners who receive only what is given to them. When the process is over, they receive the certificate of pass or fail at the end of the year or course. This concept of education is very narrow in the sense that it is only the communication of information by the teacher and attainment of knowledge by students. Here, no emphasis is given on all-round development of child's personality. As a result, this type of education fails to prepare a child capable of facing future challenges and hardships. What is the technical meaning of education? Education consists of all those experiences in and outside the school which affect the individual in any way during his lifetime. It is essentially the process of developing personality, shaping behavior and modifying character related to the person being educated. Thus, education is a lifelong, conscious as well as unconscious process which is also not restricted to the boundaries of time, place or person. Every time when we are not asleep, we receive some education in the form of knowledge or experience. The place where exchange of experiences takes place is technically called a school. And any person who plays more active role in this process is a teacher. What is the functional meaning of education? Functionally, education is the full exploitation of inherent capacities, innate capacities of the individual for new experiences and developing his personality in such a way that enables him to apply the acquired knowledge and experiences in his real life for the betterment of the self, society and the nation. Thus, education can make an individual a perfect and complete man in his own boundaries, though the highest degree of perfection or completeness will never be achieved. It is because only Brahma, God, is real and perfect. What are the various definitions of education? Various definitions of education have been grouped like this. Education as a modification of behavior. Professor Trevor used to say, education is a process in which and by which knowledge, character and behavior of the young people are shaped and molded. John Dewey will define education like this. Education is a process different from the process of preparation for future life. It is a gradual repetition of experiences and feelings. Education also is called the process of personality development. How? According to Mahatma Gandhi, by education I mean the all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind and spirit. These are the exact words of Mahatma Gandhi on education. According to Tagore, education means to enable the child to find out the ultimate truth, making truth its own and giving expression to it. Education also may be called as a process of drawing out the innate powers. How? According to Socrates, education means the bringing out of ideas of universal validity which is latent in the mind of every man. For an example, his famous concepts truth, beauty, goodness. Everybody wants to have in life. Any normal human being wants to acquire truth, beauty, goodness in different degrees. Ultimately, that makes a person happy or unhappy. Pestalozzi. According to Pestalozzi, education is a natural, harmonious, and progressive development of man's innate powers. Education can be also called as the process of adjustment to environment and society. How? According to Brown, one of the experts in education, education is a consciously motivating process whereby changes in behavior are produced in the person and through the person within the group. According to Raymond, education is the process of development which consists the passage of human being from infancy to maturity, the process whereby he adapts himself gradually in various ways to his physical, social, and spiritual environment. What are the characteristics of education? Education is a lifelong process. It is not limited to the education imparted in the school complex for a specified period of time, but it is a lifelong process and obtained anywhere from the more experienced persons, not necessarily from the schoolmasters alone. Education develops the inherent power of a child. Education is not a thing that is forced into the mind from outside. It rather works as a catalyst to develop the innate capacities of a child through outside experiences of the environment. Education is a dynamic process, ever growthful process. How? Education and its nature changes according to the changing needs of the society and the individual. Thus, it is a meaningful and purposeful activity. Education is a tripolar process. What does this mean? Education is a process in which a more matured person works on less matured one with the help of the curriculum, syllabus, extracurricular activities. Thus, a teacher is free to act only within the boundaries of the curriculum and the students gain knowledge plus experiences from their teachers. Education is a process of modifying behavior and character formation also. It molds the behavior and character of the child in a desirable manner. It is a direct and indirect process both. Direct and indirect process. When a teacher and the students are in direct contact, education is a direct process, but when students receive it from a distance, it is an indirect process. Take for an example online education. Then education becomes an enrichment of experiences for the students. Every individual has his own range of experiences which may be right or wrong. Through the process of education, these experiences are directed towards the goal of life. Education is a process of all-rounded development of the individual. How? Personality of an individual has three equally important dimensions: physical, mental, and spiritual. A healthy mind lies only in a healthy body, and body alienated from soul is certainly dead. The man away from spirituality is like a beast whose activities of life are confined to fulfilling physical needs only. It is a process of adjustment to environment. When we don't get what we decide to get, we become maladjusted in the society. By teaching various skills to the individual, the process of education brings about social adjustment. Similarly, the individual and the environment are most of the time antagonistic to each other. Example, severe cold forces men and women to wear warm clothes. Through the process of education, the lessons of adjustment are taught. What are the functions of education? It develops the innate powers of the individual, God given innate powers. It is an all-rounded development of the individual. It promotes the all-rounded development of the individual. It modifies the behavior and the character of the persons. So it is geared towards the character formation of the students. Education is a tripolar process. It's an enrichment of experience. It's a lifelong process. It controls, guides, and sublimates the instincts of the students so that they are able to think or feel nobler things in life. According to Meghalaya, every infant is born with some basic instincts which determine the nature and types of activities that he gets into. These instincts also gain strength with the age. If they are not controlled and guided in a desired direction, activities of the individual will also be uncontrolled and directionless. Moreover, some undesirable instincts need to be sublimated in order to flush out acceptable activities. Education performs all these functions in the interest of the society and the individual. Education is for the preparation of adult life. The responsibilities of the child increases with the age. When he is fully grown up, he needs a job to support his family. He is also expected to develop a good social relation with his relatives, neighbors, and the people at large in the society. All these skills are taught to him through the process of education, and he is prepared to lead a responsible life in the society. Education is for preservation and transmission of culture also. An individual is born in a society where various cultures, traditions, and religious ideals exist. Each nation is proud of its culture and traditions, so they are preserved by education for the present generation and transmitted for the next one. It is for the realization of Brahma self. The worldly life is a temporary one. Assimilating the soul with the Brahma is the main aim of our life according to the Indian Vedic education. Education helps us know the methods of realization of self. And education is for social and civic functions. Enhancement of social efficiency. Social efficiency of a nation depends upon the individual efficiency, which in turn depends upon the standard of education created for them. Social efficiency is the prerequisite for prosperity and economic growth of a nation. Education performs this function in and outside the school, and also it modifies the environment itself. An individual is not only expected to adapt to the environment by changing his habits and behavior, but he should also modify the environment according to his specific needs. Education develops in him the skills to modify the environment physically and ideologically. For example, communal feeling creates a social tension. This type of feeling is reduced by teaching the universality of religions. Then education is meant for creation of a civilized society. Education helps a man know how to behave with different people in different ways. For this purpose, rules of conduct and norms of ethics are taught to him. This makes the whole society civilized, modern. Then it is for citizenship training. For being a country good, its citizens should also be good and responsible. Education tells them how to exercise their rights and how to perform their duties. They are not only important leadership training, but fellowship feeling is also inducted into their minds through actual experiences in the classroom, in the school, or in the college. Education is meant for social reforms too. Education annihilates, destroys the unfounded beliefs, senseless traditions, evil customs, and unsound social practices. In this way, education becomes a major reform process also. It modifies the culture, oppressive culture itself. Then it is for vocational efficiency. Education provides vocational and professional knowledge. This makes us self-reliant and competent to perform a job. This increases our income, which in turn increases our satisfaction. Education is for reconstruction of experiences. How? Man undergoes a number of experiences which he comes in contact with the physical and social environment. These experiences sometimes lead him to wrong direction due to lack of maturity in the self. Through education, these experiences are recognized in a positive manner, then they are reconstructed for future action. Education is meant for national integration and development. It promotes national unity. India is a country of diversity of religions, languages, caste, cultures and lifestyles. If these differences, diversities are not brought under check or not controlled properly, the whole nation will be disintegrated, resulting in huge loss of property and human lives. Thus, for the purpose of snatching the nation to the track of development, education should bring about unity in this diversity. This can be done only by changing the ordinary society into educated and enlightened one. Education is meant for emotional integration. It develops emotional integration among the people. For achieving national integration, emotional integration is first needed. It removes the narrow feeling of hatred, enmity, jealousy and rivalry among the peoples. Emotional integration is brought about by imparting fellow feeling and sense of cooperation in the individuals. Education helps in moral training. How? We cannot make a society good only by invoking laws, rules and regulations. The role of law in disciplinary affairs is very much limited. It is only confined to physical aspects of life. Validity of a witness is another problem to enforce a law. Morality, on the other hand, is a self-imposed discipline which is guided only by spirits. Thus, high moral values and ideals are taught through education by citing the examples of priests, prophets, and justice-loving rulers. Education supplies skilled manpower for the development of our nation. A number of skills and techniques are needed to perform various types of productive and non-productive tasks in the society. Such skilled and semi-skilled workers are supplied by formal and non-formal educational institutions. What are the various forms of education? Let us discuss on the forms of education: formal, informal, and non-formal education. The education which is imparted at a particular place under controlled environment is called formal education. Here, aims and methods of teaching are predetermined. Curriculum is fixed. Duration of teaching time is controlled by the timetable of the school or college, and discipline is exhibited everywhere in the system. Once the education is over, the students are given pass or fail certificate or degree. Education imparted in schools and colleges is termed as a formal education. Informal education is a natural and unconscious process. Here the learner does not know that he is receiving any particular education at any particular time. The nature of contact between the center and the receiver is also informal here in informal education. Aim of education, curriculum, method of teaching, place and time of learning, everything is undetermined in informal education. As a result, no certificate or degree is issued at the end of the program. Family, neighborhood, playground, church, social and religious organizations, peer groups, etc. are important informal agencies of education. Non-formal education is that education which is systematically imparted to learners according to the timetable suitable to the learners and the certificate or degree may also be issued at the end of the education. Adult education centers, Anganwadis, library, museum, art galleries, extension lectures, symposia and seminars etc. are termed as non-formal agencies of education. Here, aims, curriculum and methods of teaching are fixed, but teaching is not controlled by evaluation. However, when process is controlled by evaluation, a degree or diploma is also issued. Distance education is a better example of this education. What are the general and specific education characteristics? The education which is compulsorily imparted to students up to a certain stage or grade, irrespective of mental aptitude, interest and particular needs of students in a formal setting, is termed as general education. For example, education imparted up to class 10 is general in India. Here, students do not have freedom to opt a subject according to their own choice till class 10. General, common curricula is formed to them and given to them so that they get the basic ideas about the society, about selves, about the nation, about the world, etc. This education is expected to sharpen the general mental abilities of the child to make his life successful. Specific education has specific aims and curriculum based on the specific needs, interest and aptitude of students. This type of education prepares the students for specific streams and areas of life such as physics, chemistry, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology or arts group education or business education, other vocational or technical education and so on. Then what is technical or professional education? Technical education is given for the purpose of equipping the students with a particular technique suitable to a particular trade or job such as polytechnic, home science, paramedical training, etc. Practical aspects of education dominates over theoretical aspects here in technical education. More practice is given. Professional education is wider than technical education in scope. It prepares the students to run various types of professions in life: medical education, management education, B.Ed and M.Ed courses, etc. Professionals know their jobs as well compared to the ordinary people. This education also requires training but sufficient amount of theoretical knowledge. Then individual and collective education. What does this mean? Individual education is that education which is imparted to students individually and separately on the basis of their specific interest, aptitude and needs. Here, the teacher can easily adjust himself to the individual needs and capacities of a child. This education is more psychological in its nature and scope. Collective education is imparted to the group or classes of students. This is more formal than the individual education. Children of different intellectual abilities and interests are grouped in a class and then they are taught by a group of teachers one by one according to the pre-specified time frame. This education is more philosophical in its nature and scope. School education is an example of collective education. What is the scope of education? The above definitions and functions of education clarify that the process of education is not different from the process of life itself. They are rather complementary to each other. We come across a number of problems when we live in the society. Education helps us in reaching the solution to these problems through experiences. For this very reason, we divide these experiences into parts and subparts. We can call them as subjects and papers respectively, and then we select any subject and paper on the basis of our own interest and need. What is the scope of education as a subject? What are the various subjects included in education as such? Educational psychology. Child faces a number of problems related to education and development, and their solutions require to take the help of psychology. Educational psychology studies various stages of physical, social, mental and emotional development of a child and their implication to the process of education. Learning theories of psychology are also applied to the teaching learning environment for making the learning possible. Problems related to personality, intelligence, memory, adjustment, etc. are also studied for fuller understanding of a child. Then, another subject that is included in education, educational philosophy. Nature and purpose of education is determined on the basis of the philosophy of nation and the people. For this purpose, various philosophical thoughts and their impact on education and life are studied. Thus, educational philosophy determines the direction as well as the amount of education imparted to the individuals. Then, educational sociology, another subject. Under this division, we study the society and its impact on education on one hand and impact of education on culture and society on the other. The sociological bases are provided to education and objectives of socialization of a child are achieved. Then educational technology, another important subject that we study in education. This branch of study helps the teacher to achieve the most with the least possible time, energy and resources. Various teaching strategies and techniques are applied on students and their performances are evaluated keeping in view the predetermined objectives and then final result is obtained. Then educational administration, another subject in education. Success of the process of education, whether it be formal or non-formal, depends entirely on the efficient administration. For this purpose, principles of educational administration, supervision and control of schools, appointment of teaching and non-teaching staff, qualifications and duties of teachers, and evaluation of school performance, etc. are studied, and reforms and changes are made on the basis of the system analysis. Then educational measurement and evaluation, one of the most important subjects in education. Under this division, we study why and how evaluation in education is done, how much degree of achievement may be a guarantee for success, and how much degree of error in measurement is acceptable. Thus, evaluation works as a supplement to the whole educational process. Then another subject, special education. This discipline refers to the methods of imparting education to deviant groups of society, handicapped or backward and talented or superior students. Relative importance of special and integrated education is also studied here. Then another subject, history and problems of education. Under this division, we study the nature and patterns of education from the ancient period to the 21st century and the related problems are studied. Education as a process of life. Education can be considered as a group of subjects. Education as a process of life itself. In other words, life is education, education is life. Education is life itself. It is because education covers all the spheres of our lives through experiences. The scope of education as a process of life can be well understood from the individual and social functions of education. Thank you very much, dear friends. God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in other video lectures in educational philosophy.